Welcome to Top News Channel. A special welcome to all subscribers. Thanks for supporting my channel. Remember to click on the notification bell to get updates on the latest stories. I'm Evadne Brown Harrison with the Top News Roundup for Sunday, December 3. Here are the stories making our newscast. In local news, Kingston Western police on high alert following killing of reputed gang leader. Westmoreland Chamber of Commerce calling for a state of emergency amidst upsurge in murders and robberies in the parish. St. Catherine pastor pleads guilty to indecent assault of 11-year-old. Jamaicans for Justice-JFJ calling for the legalization of abortion. In regional news, Guyana calls for Venezuela to show maturity and responsibility in border dispute. And on the international scene, man kills 4 relatives in Queens, New York during knife rampage. Top News Roundup is brought to you by Evadne's Multimedia and Communication Services. Fast, reliable, affordable. Now the details. The Kingston Western police are on full alert following threats made against them after the fatal shooting of a reputed gang leader along Sunlight Street, Maxfield Avenue in Kingston recently. 37-year-old Nakeem Mullings, otherwise called Jack a Diamond, was shot dead during a reported confrontation with the police shortly after midnight on Friday. Head of the Kingston Western Police, Senior Superintendent Michael Phipps, says Mullings and his cronies had earlier robbed a taxi operator of his Toyota Probox motor vehicle along Malines Road in St. Andrew when they encountered a police patrol team along Sunlight Street approximately 12:35 a.m. The vehicle reportedly stopped and one man ran after the driver. Mullings exited the car and opened fire at the police. The police returned fire, hitting him. The cops also recovered a Glock pistol with 2 rounds of ammunition. Mullings is said to be the leader of the top Sunlight Street gang. SSP Phipps says the division has since received threats from associates of the deceased.
We have since received threats that men from the area will be carrying out attacks against our police officers.
SSP Phipps is warning persons and says that the police is prepared to defend itself against safety and security threats.
I would really like to warn these persons not to carry out any such threats. We will advise also that our officers have been placed on high alert and are very prepared to defend any action that may threaten our safety and security.
Head of the Kingston Western Police, Senior Superintendent Michael Phipps. The Westmoreland Chamber of Commerce is urging the Jamaican government to impose a state of emergency (SOE) in light of the recent upsurge of robberies and murders in the parish. The incidents are reportedly being carried out by a group of criminals from across Westmoreland. They have been targeting business establishments, including supermarkets and bars in Negril, Good Hope, and other major towns in the parish. President of the Westmoreland Chamber of Commerce, Moses Chaibar, says the organization is deeply concerned about the situation. He also says the escalating criminal activities in the parish are negatively impacting both the business and the residential communities. Mr. Chaibar explains that businesses have started closing their doors early. This, he says, is disturbing, as most businesses would generally be expecting increased sales during the upcoming holiday season. The Chamber President further stressed the importance of a state of emergency, and he says swift and decisive action needs to be taken in order to curtail the current wave of criminal activities, safeguard the community, and restore law and order in the parish. A minister of religion who is based in St. Catherine has recently pleaded guilty to the indecent assault of an 11-year-old child. The man, whose name is being withheld to protect the child's identity, is to be sentenced on February 9 of next year. He has received a further extension on his bail. The pastor was arrested last August after a report was made to the police that he sexually molested the child. He was subsequently charged with indecent assault. Human rights group Jamaicans for Justice-JFJ is supporting those advocating for the decriminalization of abortion. Both government officials, Juliet Cuthbert-Flynn and her opposition Lisa Hanna, on separate occasions have called for parliamentary action to amend the country's abortion law. According to Section 72 of the Offences Against the Person Act, anyone found guilty of having or facilitating an abortion could be sentenced to life in prison with or without hard labor. Executive Director of JFJ, Michael Jackson, is pushing for the expressed provision in law for the procedure.
We cannot rely on common law or policy statements to say that doctors can act in this particular way, because policy obviously has to be subjected to what the law allows.
Ms. Jackson says the law doesn't make provision for abortions in cases where a pregnancy has been brought about due to rape.
Currently, what is on the books makes no exception for an abortion to be done. Take, for example, a victim who has been raped. That woman would have to carry her rapist child or her child to full term. She would have no choice to exercise where she can look at the doctor and say, I choose or I choose not to undergo an abortion. And we're saying in that particular situation, there ought to be some exemptions wherein abortion could be legally done.
Michael Jackson, Executive Director of the advocate group Jamaicans for Justice, JFJ. Now for the top regional story. Guyana is urging the Venezuelan government to show maturity and responsibility as Caracas moves ahead with a planned consultative referendum regarding the ownership of the mineral-rich Essequibo region in Guyana. This morning, during a broadcast, President Irfaan Ali said the Caracas should avoid becoming an international outcast and not go ahead with the referendum. President Ali says, quote, I am not going to get into the internal politics of Venezuela and their policy making, but I want to advise Venezuela that this is an opportunity for them to show maturity and an opportunity to show responsibility, end quote. He also says, quote, we call upon them once more to join us in demonstrating maturity and responsibility and to allow the rule of law to determine the outcome of this controversy, end quote. On Friday, the International Court of Justice, ICJ, ruled that Venezuela must not take any action to seize the mineral and forest-rich country of Essequibo in Guyana based on its upcoming referendum. And now for news on the international scene. A man killed 4 relatives, including 2 children, in a knife attack at their home in Far Rockaway, Queens, New York this morning. Reports reaching Top News Desk is that the rampage took place before daybreak. The enraged man, after the killings, set the building ablaze and stabbed 2 police officers before one of them fatally shot him. The NYPD Chief of Department, Jeffrey Madry, says at approximately 5:10 a.m., the police were summoned to the home when a female caller dialed 911 and said her cousin was killing her family. When the officers pulled up to the driveway, they stopped a man leaving the area with luggage, and after just a few seconds, he drew a knife and attacked. One of the officers was stabbed in his neck and chest. The other officer was slashed in the head before one of them shot the assailant. An 11-year-old girl was found in front of the house. She was taken to the hospital, where she was later pronounced dead from stab wounds. Police were not immediately able to enter the home because of a fire that consumed the living room and foyer. However, once inside, they found 3 more people fatally stabbed. They were a 12-year-old boy, a 44-year-old woman, and a man in his 30s. A 61-year-old woman was seriously injured in the attack. She is in critical condition, suffering from multiple stab wounds. Both injured police officers are expected to recover. The suspect was identified as 38-year-old Courtney Gordon. Police say he was visiting the family from his home in Bronx. The identities of his victims are currently undisclosed. This brings us to the end of the newscast. Here's a recap of our main stories. Kingston Western police on high alert following killing of reputed gang leader. Westmoreland Chamber of Commerce calling for state of emergency amidst upsurge in murders and robberies in the parish. St. Catherine pastor pleads guilty to indecent assault of 11-year-old. Jamaicans for Justice-JFJ calling for the legalization of abortion. Guyana calls for Venezuela to show maturity and responsibility in border dispute. And man kills 4 relatives in Queen, New York during knife rampage. Top News Roundup was brought to you by Evadne's Multimedia and Communication Services. Fast, reliable, affordable. On behalf of the news team at Top News Channel, I'm Evadne Brown Harrison. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Top News Channel for news that is accurate, current, and credible. Have a blessed week.